All right, bang. Kid makes his great return. We're back here with part two, which is going to be the Bantamweights of my top 25 series. If you didn't watch the last one, we went over my top 25 flyweights in the UFC. Um, I'd really appreciate you going back, checking that out. Maybe then come back and watch this one or watch this one first. I don't care. Either way. I just really appreciate you going back and checking it out if you haven't already. Um, Basically, this series is just me ranking my guys in the top 25, um, putting together my own list of who I think basically who would win in a fight or uh, who I think's better skill for skill. Some guys are declining, so they're going to be going down. It's like a current ranking, but also like a future ranking at the same time, if you know what I mean. Anyways, let's just jump right into this thing. Right, number 25, bang, Ricky Simone. A few months ago, Ricky Simone probably would have not been on this list after he had that loss to Vinicius Oliveira. But he just recently picked up a big win over Javid Basharat, and that alone put you on my list because I don't like the Basharat brothers. I think they're fucking annoying, and I think they're dog shit. So that put Ricky Simone up on the list. Not just that though, he was on a pretty big losing streak before that, but all the pretty good guys, guys that you're gonna see on this list. But I'm not gonna hold those against him. He's got to win over the champion, which I know that was a very long time ago, and he's got a few wins over other guys that you'll see coming up on this list. But I think this is the spot to put him now. I think we got him at 25. I think that's a good spot for Mr. Simone. Coming up at number 24, bang, we got Adrian Yanez. Another guy that, like, a little while ago, like, maybe he'd have been higher, maybe he wouldn't have been on the list. I don't really know. Um, he's coming off a loss to Daniel Marcos, who we'll talk about later. It was a good fight, ended up being a split decision. He's got a few losses to other guys you will also see on this list. His big thing of why I don't have him up very high, yeah, he's exciting, he's powerful, but he doesn't really have like any good wins in my opinion. Like he doesn't have a win over a single person that you'll see on this list, and that's his big knock. He's exciting, he's powerful, a great striker. Just doesn't have the wins for me to put him up any higher, right? So that's gonna be our number 24 there, Adrian Yanez. So moving on here, number 23, I got Raoni Barcelos. I'm not gonna lie, another one where like a month ago he probably wouldn't have been on the list. He had that loss to Umar and then another one right after that to Kyler Phillips. Those are two excusable losses in my opinion. Um, Two of his four losses in the UFC, which is I mean he's what 8-4 in the UFC I believe. Just looked absolutely amazing against Peyton Talbot there at UFC 311. Talbot was so hyped up. Everybody's saying he's the next big thing, the next Sean O'Malley, the real Sean O'Malley. People are saying. And Barcelos just took it to him, man. Put the pace on him for 3 rounds, wrestling, striking, everything. He looked great, dominated that fight. I scored it 30-26. I thought it was that dominant. And it was just an amazing performance that's going to bump you up. And before that, he got a finish over Christian Quinones, which not a great win, but a finish win nonetheless. So that is how he earned his spot here at number 23, right? And moving on now to number 22. Bang, Pedro Munoz. Pedro Munoz he's on the back end of his career. Definitely, I think his better days are behind him. Um, he's on a pretty big losing streak right now, but they're all against good guys. If you look through this guy's record, like all of his losses are very excusable, pretty much. Like um, he's got a few wins over guys that you'll see on this list. But like he lost to Aljo, he lost to Frankie Edgar, he lost to Aldo, he lost to Dominic Cruz, lost to Cheeto, lost to Kyler Phillips, lost to Eamon Zahavi. Like these are reasonable losses. Like I can't hold those losses against him too much to where I'm going to put him under these other guys. His last one was in 2023, which is why he has gone so far down this list. If you would have given if I would have made this probably like around that time where he lost to Cheeto, he would have been pretty high. Well, not pretty high, but he'd have been up there in the top 15 kind of range. Unfortunately, I think his better days are behind him. So he finds himself down here at number 21, right? All right. Moving on, number 20, we have Daniel Marcos. This guy is very good. I just need to see a little more of him. He's very, very good. Just coming off of a win over Adrian Yanez. Before that, I went over John Castaneda. I went over Davey Grant. I went over Simon Oliveira. Like, this guy's got a good record. Well, obviously, he's got a good record, but he's got good wins. Not great wins yet, but he's going to work his way up there, I believe. He's got a fight scheduled for May 3rd against Montel Jackson, who we'll talk about later. That's going to be an absolute banger of a fight. I'm very excited for that fight. And but yeah, just I think Daniel Marcos is very, very good. Um, Moving on now, we have Ayman Zahabi. Um, I don't know why this guy's ranked. I genuinely, I really don't know why he's ranked in the top 15 right now. I mean, he's on a good win streak, but it's like it's guys that like he should be beating. His last win was over Pedro Munoz, and he got ranked for that. I don't know. I don't see it personally. Um, he's got a win over Ricky Tercios, who is okay. He's got good pressure, good cardio, whatever. He's going to stay in the fight the whole time, but it's not a great win. The Mongolian Murderer, not a very good win. Javid Basharat, not a great win. But, I mean, I like the fact that he beat him. And then a win over Pedro Munoz, who, like we just said, is on the back end of his career. So it's not a terrible win, but it's not like a top-tier win that's going to throw you into the rankings, in my opinion. I don't know. That's why he finds himself down here at, I believe, 19, I believe. I can't remember already. I've already lost track. I should probably put that on the screen or somewhere. Anyways, next up, Jonathan Martinez. Jonathan Martinez he's very good. Obviously, we know about the low kicks. We know about he's got those two low kick finishes. Um, one over Adrian Yanez, who we just talked about, and one over Cub Swanson. That's very impressive. It is. It's very impressive. Um, I just think his last two performances since that Adrian Yanez win versus Aldo and Marcus McGee, who we'll both talk about later, he's just not looked good. He needed to go out there and get a finish in round 3 against a pretty gassed Marcus McGee, and just kind of didn't do that. Like, I was so frustrated watching that fight because I picked Jonathan Martinez, and it was like he was on the brink of getting that calf kick KO again. Like, you know it's coming and you can't stop it, but for some reason they clinched against the cage, and it was something like, I'm not throwing him down the rankings because I'm mad about his performance. I'm throwing him down the rankings because it's not that I'm mad about his performance. It's just that worries me that that's going to be a recurring theme where he's just not making very good decisions in these fights. So I can't trust you to go up and continue beating these guys who are improving when you're clinching against the fence, when the guy's limping around and barely able to stand, you know? All right. Anyways, up next, we have Said Nurmagomedov. I was debating between those two. I know Jonathan Martinez beat Said Nurmagomedov just not too long, a few years ago. But I personally think that now, with Jonathan Martinez having two back-to-back losses, his confidence is down. I think that there's just, I just think there's kind of a chance that Said goes back and he can pick up a win over him if they fought again. I think it would be still a very close fight, but I think Said might be able to go in there and get it done. I could be completely wrong. I don't know, but that's just my opinion. Anyways, up next, this is going to be the most controversial pick. Well, a hardcore controversial pick, I guess, if you will. Bernardo Sopai. Now listen, hear me out. Vinicius Oliveira has looked very, very good in his last two fights against Said Nurmagomedov and against Ricky Simon. He's looked very, very good. Bernardo Sopai was beating the shit out of this guy in the first 2 rounds. Took him down, dominating him on the ground, landing lots of strikes. Just the only thing that worries me about Bernardo Sopai is the gas tank's just not there. And I'm not just saying that because he gassed out against Vinicius Oliveira and got KO'd, which was one of the nastiest knockouts I've ever seen. That was so badass. But also there at UFC 311 against Ricky Tercios, I know Ricky Tercio is kind of a zombie. He's got, thick neck. You punch him in the face, he keeps walking forward. You punch him again, he keeps walking forward. And he's 1,000 miles an hour. But Sopai looked so sharp in that fight. Looked great in round 1. Looked just as good in round 2. And then you could kind of see maybe towards the end of round 2 and then through round 3 that the gas tank was starting to get to him again. It definitely looked improved. It looked improved for sure from what it was against Vinicius Oliveira. When he got flying knee, he might as well been asleep. He was awake. He hadn't been hit with the shot to put him asleep yet, but he was I mean, he could have laid down right there and fallen asleep, like literally not getting knocked out, but he could have laid down and fell asleep right there. He was that gassed, but he is very good technically. Like he's strong, he's fast, he's a great striker, great grappler. I haven't seen anything other than his cardio to me that makes me think this guy can't go anywhere. So all he's got to do, in my opinion, personally, fix up that cardio. He's moving on and upward. Anyways, up next, Marcus McGee. Kind of a similar issue with what we just talked about. Looked great in rounds 1 and 2 against Jonathan Martinez. Was getting his calf beat up a little bit. It got pretty bad in the third round because he slowed down pretty significantly. The biggest problem with Marcus McGee is he's at bantamweight. He's already 34 years old. That's a problem. It just is. All right, you know what I mean? Like I hate to say that. That's a reason I don't think he's going to go too much farther. But look at him, dude. He looks like he's 46. He's 34 years old. That's just not going to do it in today's bantamweight division. You know, he needed to make this run 3-4 years ago, but now it's probably getting close to too late. I do think he's still getting better. He still looks improved from previous fights, but I think his ceiling's kind of where he's at right now. Maybe he could pick up another win or two, push himself a little higher, but I think this is kind of the area where he's going to come to a halt here. Anyways, up next, we have Vinicius Oliveira, we just talked about. I wanted so bad to put him below Sopai because he did get absolutely dominated, but he since then picked up 2 great wins. He looked great against Ricky Simone. It almost looked like Ricky Simone was like just some like amateur almost. Like he made Ricky Simone look like an amateur. It looked like he wasn't trying, and Vinicius Oliveira was just styling on him, doing whatever he wanted to him, and just beating him up for the whole 15 minutes. And then he just picked up another really good win over Said Nurmagomedov, where he looked great in that fight, in my opinion. Vinicius Oliveira is very dangerous. He's a great striker. He's fast. He's long. I think what's his reach? Let me go look at his reach. Hold on. He's got almost a 71 inch, a 70 and a half inch reach, and he's 5'9". That's a pretty good reach at bantamweight. This guy is long, he's aggressive, he's fast, and he's powerful. He's everything you want to look for in a striker. He's stylish. He's everything you want to see in a bantamweight striker right now. It's kind of similar to this next guy right here, bang, Kyler Phillips. Lost his last fight to Rob Font. I picked Phillips to win that fight. I was honestly pretty surprised that Unk still had it. But anyways, he got a nice win over Jaime Barcelos, we just talked about. Another win over Pedro Munoz before that, where he looked very good. I think personally, Kyler Phillips is a great fighter. I think he just needs to kind of tone down the. He tries to be too stylish and kind of gassed out in that fight against Pedro Munoz late, and it seemed like Pedro Munoz was going to make a push to maybe make a comeback. I didn't ever feel like he was going to finish Kyler Phillips, but it was like he was gaining momentum to where if that for some reason had been a 5-round fight, maybe he could have picked up 3, 4, and 5 and got the decision, but that wasn't the case. He was able to hold on, just 3-round fight. He was able to hold on and get the win over Pedro Munoz, so I can't hold that against him too much because ultimately he did end up winning. And then his last fight against Rob Font, he looked good. He did. Rob Font just looked better. Um, Honestly, it was very surprising. And speaking of, that's who we got next. Rob Font, 37 years old. Unk still has it. And to be honest, I thought he was going down. I thought it was over for Rob Font. Picks up a nice win over Gene Matsumoto. Gave him his first loss. And Gene Matsumoto is a guy who can definitely be on this list very soon. That kid's really good. And he's really young, too. Let me go and look. He's 25. He could definitely make a push and come up this ladder at some point in time. But right now, Rob Font, back-to-back wins, Gene Matsumoto and Kyler Phillips. So he was definitely on the decline. I was definitely going to put him a little lower. Got dominated by Corey Sandhagen, and that was not a good look on his part. But it was Corey Sandhagen with one arm. I think it was a torn tricep, I believe it was, tore his tricep tendon, and he pretty well dominated Rob Font for all 5 rounds on the ground. So I was kind of thinking this guy is on the decline. He's going to be down in that same area down there. If he would have lost to Kyler Phillips, he'd have been down in that same area, kind of as where Pedro is right now. But went out, picked up the win, so can't hold it two against him, right? Anyways, up next, Montel Jackson. This guy is electric. He's fast. He's powerful. Sorry, fast, powerful, and he's very exciting. And I believe he's pretty young. I'm pulling it up right now. 32, right in the prime of his career. Just got a big, really fast knockout over Damon Blackshear, who's also a guy that could have made this list. Probably maybe should have, to be honest. But anyways, um, that was a big win for him. And there was I can't remember who it was. There's a UFC better guy that was saying that Damon Blackshear is his underdog of the year. Was hyping that fight up so much just for him to get knocked out in 18 seconds. That was just one of the funniest things I've ever experienced, and that's kind of how Montel Jackson got on my radar. Other than that Damon Blackshear win, he doesn't really have any great wins, um, but he's looked so good in the wins that he has that it's like you can't deny him of a higher spot in this list, right? So up next we got Chito Vera. You might be thinking Cheeto's too low. But personally, I just am not a big Cheeto fan, man. I'm just kind of not. He's still kind of right in the prime of his career, 32. Maybe he's a little old. I don't know. Same thing with Montel Jackson. He's 32 too. But I just think Cheeto Vera's on the I think his best days are behind him. Um, he had that little win streak there through Davey Grant, Frankie Edgar, Rob Font, and Dominic Cruz, where he had that nasty front kick against Frankie Edgar and then the high kick against Dominic Cruz. Then he got pretty well dominated by Corey Sandhagen. I know it was a split decision, but if you watch that fight, it was pretty clear in my opinion. I want to say it was like 4 rounds to 1. I think I scored it. It's been a while now, but I think it was like I scored it like 4 rounds to 1. Corey Sandhagen, pretty clearly. After that, he got a pretty close win, or not. I mean, it wasn't close. It was competitive. A competitive win over Pedro Munoz. Got absolutely butt fucked by Sean O'Malley for 5 rounds. Got the life beat out of him. Had basically no moments until the last 5 seconds of the fight where he landed that hook to the liver and sat O'Malley down. After the bell, O'Malley went and sat by the cage, and everybody kind of just thought he was taken in the moment, but no, he just got hit hard as fuck to the body. Um, but other than that, Cheeto just looked like dog shit in there. He just kind of stood there. He was a punching bag for Sean O'Malley to just style on. Threw on his pink shorts and beat the shit out of Cheeto. Got his win back. Um, this guy gaslit me into thinking that Sean O'Malley was going to go in there and knock out Merab. Just for Merab to go out there and just dominate O'Malley for 4 rounds. I know you can make the argument, the damage argument. Go watch that fight and tell me that O'Malley won. You can't do that. I know you want to say, oh, damage scoring. No. Yeah, damage scoring is a thing, but watch the fight and tell me who won. It was pretty clear that Merab won the fight. Anyways, we're not talking about Merab yet. We're not talking about Sean O'Malley. We're talking about Cheeto. He then, after that loss to O'Malley, went in, got beat up by Davison Figueiredo, got dropped for the first time in his career in that fight. I don't know how a flyweight comes up and drops Cheeto Vera, but O'Malley, that knee doesn't even really rock him. I mean, he stumbled back, but it was like not even, I don't know, this guy's head is made out of steel or something along those lines. But anyways, let's move on here. We've stayed on here too long. Up next, we got Jose Aldo Jr. Now, I know all the old heads in here, all these hardcore fans be like, this is way too low for Aldo, but hear me out. Listen, Aldo has a weakness. You can say what you want about Mario Batista. He has a weakness. It's been done to him multiple times. Volk did it to him. Merab did it to him. Bautista did it to him. He has a weakness, and that is the clinch. You can push this guy against the cage, and he's just going to sit there. And it's not a fun fight style. I'm not saying that, um, you're going to do it to him, and it's going to be this most entertaining fight you've ever seen. No, but it's his fault. You got to get off the cage, man. That's a thing. It's part of MMA. You've got to be able to get off the cage. You can defend every takedown in the world, but if you're defending them and then just standing there with your back against the cage, you're losing the fight. So had that. He got knocked out by Piotr Jan. Got a win over Cheeto. Got a win over Pedro Munoz. Got a win over Rob Font. Got held against the fence and controlled by Marab. Then he retires for a little bit, comes back, looks great against Jonathan Martinez, which is the reason he was so high up on this list. He looked great in that fight. And when he and Bautista were not in the clinch against the fence, he looked very good. He looked fast. He still looks like he has some pop on his shots, that jab, that two. Still got the low kicks in there. He's still classic Aldo. He's just getting up there in age a little bit. 38 years old. Better days are behind him, definitely. I still think he can beat Eamon Zahabi for sure, unless Zahabi's want to go in there and clinch him against the fence too, because Aldo's just going to stand there and just look around while Zahabi holds him there. So he's going to lose that fight if that's the approach Zahabi takes. If Zahabi tries to stand and strike with him, I think Aldo can get that win. He's so fast, so technical, and he's still very, very good at 38. He just has that one glaring weakness, which is why I have this next guy above him. I was debating these two, and I decided to go with Henry Cejudo above Jose Aldo because I think Henry Cejudo would have absolutely no issues clinching um, Aldo against the fence for the whole fight. I think they beat kind of the same guys. I think they lose to the same guys, but I think Cejudo beats him, so he would have pretty much no issue holding him against the fence. I know since he came back out of retirement, he's lost 3 in a row. But you got to think of the guys he's lost to here. He lost to Aljamain Sterling, lost to Marab. Those are two completely reasonable losses. He won the first round against Marab, dropped him, went to a split decision with Aljo. So he's definitely still has some in the tank. He looked okay against Song Yadong. It looked like there in that third round, I think it's when he got poked in the eye. I didn't get to watch this fight, but I think it was the third round. And when I went back and rewatched it, he looked like he was loosening up a little bit. Looks like he was getting faster, starting to be able to keep up with Song Yadong a little bit. Not quite, but it was becoming more competitive. Song Yadong clearly won all 3 rounds either way. But I think Henry Cejudo was settling in and was going to be able to make that fight a little more competitive and not just be a punching bag for Song Yadong. But unfortunately, had that eye poke, and he kind of made a mockery of himself sitting there against the cage, sitting down literally. But anyways, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the next guy here. Bang, Mario Bautista. I know, everybody and their fucking grandma hates Mario Bautista right now. But guys, it's not his fault that Aldo won't get off the cage. It's not his fault. Like, you can't tell me that if you were in the cage with Aldo and he's throwing these shots at you, he's hitting you hard, he's fast, that you wouldn't do the same thing, that you wouldn't shoot a takedown, and if he defends it, but he just stands there, that you wouldn't just stand there with him and hold him against the cage, gain your control time, and win the fight. You can't tell me you wouldn't do that. You can't tell me that you would just go in there, establish dominant position, be able to hold him against the cage, and then just be like, never mind, let me just back up so you can punch me in the face a few more times. No, you wouldn't do that. You would hold him against the cage, you would pick up your victory, get your check, and you would move up the rankings. So I'm not defending him like completely, like saying like this was like a super entertaining fight. You guys shouldn't be hating on him, but it's not his fault, man. It's just not his fault. Um, Other than that Aldo win, he's got some good wins on his record. Got a win over Ricky Simone, got a win over Damon Blackshear. Those are both good wins, you know. And he's got a few finishes before those few fights. He's got a few finishes in a row. He's not that boring of a fighter, guys. It's just the truth. He's on what now, a 7-fight win streak since he lost to Trevin Jones back in 2021. Hasn't lost a fight since then. Looked good. Got that win over Aldo. Puts him up here at, I believe, um, number 8 is where we're at. So he's number 8 on my list. Number 7 is going to be that man Song Yadong, the Kung Fu Kid, right? Looked great in his last fight. Pretty dominant over Henry Cejudo. Before that, lost a decision to Piotr Jan, which was a relatively competitive fight. It was pretty clear, in my opinion, that Jan won the fight, but it was competitive. Got a win over Chris Gutierrez before that, knocked out Ricky Simone before that, and then the fight before that Ricky Simone win was the Corey Sandhagen fight where he got doctor stoppage uh, and ended up going to Corey Sandhagen. So that was a competitive fight too. He looked good in there. He's got a few, like I feel like this guy kind of fought like random people on the come up. Like he just randomly fought Cheeto Vera when they were both coming up. Randomly just fought Kyler Phillips on their way up, both 2021 and 2020. Um, but he's good. He's very good. He's powerful. He's fast. He can grapple. Very good fighter. Lands him at number 7 on my list. So now, unfortunately, the next 5 guys pretty much can go any way, in my opinion, right now. I think number 6 here, who we'll see right now, Corey Sandhagen, I think he loses to all of the last guys here on the list. I think he loses to all of them. But then the next group of guys, I think, pretty much can all beat each other and will all be competitive fights. So I did my best to rank them on who I think would win the fights, but it's pretty iffy. Corey Sandhagen coming off the loss, of course, to Umar Nurmagomedov, which was competitive. He just got kind of outclassed, outstruck, and outgrappled. But he didn't look bad. He didn't look like he had lost it in there. It didn't look like he was falling off. He's looked good before that. Had the win over Rob Font. Had the win over Cheeto Vera. Looked good in both of those. Unfortunately, just he's kind of too much think in the octagon. You know what I mean? If he went out there and just flowed a little more, I feel like he used to flow a little more than he does now. Like when he stepped in and got that flying knee, I think it was against Frankie Edgar. Like that Corey Sandhagen where he was just out there, he was loose. That Corey Sandhagen could have won the fight against Umar, I believe. But I think now he's trying to become even more technical, trying to win the outside foot battle, trying to be perfect in there, and it's costing him. I think, uh, I guess, causing him to lose fights, right? And I think that could potentially be a pattern here as he's about to step in the octagon with this next guy, Davison Figueiredo, and I think Figgy's going to win that fight. I think Figgy's more powerful, and I think he's a better grappler. I think he's smaller, obviously, coming up from flyweight, but he's not a small bantamweight. Just because he came up doesn't mean he's small. He was having trouble making 125. He's a good size for a bantamweight. I just think he'll be slightly smaller than Corey in there. He'll be stronger than Corey, I believe. I don't think Corey's very strong comparatively to the rest of these guys. Um, but Davison's very good. I think that he got that win over Cheeto, got that win over Cody Garbrandt, and then obviously his last fight got pretty well dominated by Petr Yan. So I think, really, let me reword what I said earlier. I think Corey and Davison are right here. They could maybe go back and forth. I don't know who's going to win that fight. I think Davison will win, which is why I did rank him higher. But then I think the next 3 guys who will come up here in a second all beat Davison. I think they all beat Corey Sandhagen. So we'll move on into those now. This number 4, please don't attack me for this. I have Sugar Sean O'Malley. I think right now, you put him back in there against Petr Yan. I think Petr Yan probably gets that win. You put him in there against Umar. Both of these are very competitive fights. I just personally think that Sean O'Malley is less well-rounded than those other 2 guys. I think all their striking, I think Sean O'Malley is the best striker out of the 3 with his length and his power, which is always a game changer. The power of Sean O'Malley can win him any fight at any moment in time. He can put out anybody's lights. But I think I don't want to base who I think is better off of Sean O'Malley just having the power to put either of their lights out. I think both of those guys will be able to get inside on Sean O'Malley, be able to take him to the ground. Not that Sean O'Malley is any type of slouch on the ground. I mean, one guy made him not look very great in there, but he does that to everybody. We'll talk about him at the end of the video. Um, but I personally just think that Sean O'Malley loses skill for skill. I think that Petr Yan and Umar are both above him. And now, between those 2, at number 3, I have Petr Yan. I might be overhyping Umar. I don't know. He looked great in there in rounds 1 and 2. Basically, what I'm judging these these 2 guys off of is who looked better against Marab. I know that was like a kind of on a losing streak, kind of down Piotr Jan in that fight, but he still was Piotr Jan. He still looks very good in there, and just happened to just get absolutely dominated in all facets of the game, outstruck, out grappled, just absolutely dominated for all 25 minutes of that fight against Marab. And Umar looked great in the first 2 rounds, just gassed out. I think skill for skill, Umar might be the better fighter in there. Better than Marab, I'm saying. He might be better than Marab in there. I don't know. Certainly looked in rounds 1 and 2 like it was going to be a classic Nurmagomedov performance. He was going to be dominant. It was going to be hard for Marab to get going. That proved to not be the case. It proved to be a classic Marab performance, who did get going, put the pace on him, gassed him out, got in on the takedowns, landed his strikes, his little peppermint punches, bang, 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 stepping in there. He was styling on him. He was holding his hands up, talking to Khabib while Umar was trying to drag him down. He was hitting Umar spun and Marab's hitting this little looking around like, was it a bird, is it a plane, whatever. He took him down, was pointing at him, ended up just styling on him by the end of the fight. Ended up making a great comeback, proving that he's the best fighter at bantamweight. Looked great in there, in my opinion, and so that is why I have him at number 1. So there it is. There is my list of the top 25 bantamweights in the UFC in 2025. Um, Let me know down below, you guys agree with this list. If you don't agree with this list, what you would change, who you would have above who. Let me know. We'll talk about it in the comments. You have my thoughts here. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I'd appreciate a like. If you haven't seen my last video, I would appreciate you going back and checking that out. If you enjoyed these 2 videos, you enjoy listening to me talk, which, I mean, probably not. You enjoy listening to my shitty mic, I would appreciate a lot if you were to subscribe, maybe turn on notifications, pop in, watch a few videos. I'm going to be posting pretty much, well, as much as I can for the rest of I guess maybe the rest of my life. Maybe, who knows? We'll see how this goes. But anyways, yeah. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I'll see you guys later.